Hey guys, good evening here. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you on Inspirations for Your Life. We have got another amazing, and I mean another amazing show. And this topic, by the way, comes to us from basically the Bible. I was at church before, and it's a Bible lesson that comes from the two widows and the jars of oil. And the story basically was that she only had a little bit of oil and very little flour to make one more meal. And then she believed they were not going to live anymore because they didn't have any more food. And so when she was greeted by Eliza, he had said to make one more for them, and they would take it. And because they gave of themselves with not from their excess, but just what they had in plenty, not in plenty, they never had their jars run empty, or that be the oil or the flour. All right, guys. So do take a moment, please, to go grab yourself something delicious from the fridge. Maybe it's an icy cold drink. Maybe it's something hot, like a hot chocolate, like I have right here. I just made myself a delicious cup of hot chocolate, Swiss Miss, and I do it the lazy way. I just take the mug, I I shake it, I take the packet, I open it, and then I basically just flip the Insta Hot, and it just pours out there at 198 degrees. Makes it really easy. I stir it. Takes maybe about 5 or 10 seconds, and it's ready to drink. So go get that. Maybe some leftover Halloween candy, maybe a piece of fruit, or maybe again something else from your fridge, or maybe just some great delicious water. Either way, get that and hurry on back. So this is Saturday, so that means we're kicking off with the brand new episode, right? The master topic. And the master topic, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering what that topic is, it's understanding ourselves as vessels, right? As vessels. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. But before we go into what that is, let's go over to Merriam-Webster and look up what a vessel is. All right. So according to Merriam-Webster, and I quote, okay, vessel's a noun. It's a container such as a cask, bottle, kettle, cup, or bowl for holding something, a person into whom some quality such as grace is infused, a watercraft bigger than a rowboat, a tube or canal, such as an artery in which a body fluid is contained and conveyed or circulated, a conducting tube in the xylem of vascular plant formed by the fusion and loss of end walls of a series of cells. So that's the general, right, of what it is in the noun. So hurry on back from the kitchen because we want to get started. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Inspirations for Your Life podcast here. I am your host, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. And in today's episode, we're going to dive deep into transformative ideas to understand ourselves as vessels. And I have to give basically gratitude to our Lord and to God, to church for inspiring me with another great topic from the Bible. So think of yourself as a vessel, all right? An entity designed to hold and carry experiences, emotions, knowledge, and more. Now, by exploring this metaphor, we can uncover how we can grow, evolve, and improve ourselves. By paying closer attention to what we're carrying within, we'll examine how self-awareness, self-care, and intentional growth can help us live more fulfilling, purposeful, driven lives. Whether you're in search of personal growth or just looking for a new perspective, this episode will empower you to transform how you view yourself and your life's journey. So, first we're going to do is we're going to talk about the introduction to the concept of a vessel. That's tonight. And then we're going to go through all the other points that we're going to go through later on this week. All right. So we had a basic definition of a vessel, right? But understanding ourselves as a vessel might be a little more complicated. So we begin by exploring the idea of seeing ourselves as vessels, containers filled with experiences, beliefs, emotions, and lessons. And a vessel isn't just something that you hold, right? Or that holds something. It's a dynamic entity that can be shaped and filled with different content over time. Understanding this metaphor helps us to realize that we too have the power to decide what we hold inside and in turn, what influences our lives, whether we're aware of it or not. That would be the conscious or the subconscious. So we are continuously accumulating experiences, both good and bad, or positive and negative. The concept of being a vessel invites us to be more mindful of what we carry and its impact on our journey. So, the rest of the show tonight, I'm going to go into the topics that we're going to be covering later in the week, not tonight, but different days to the week. And I'll explain, what those are. So, I think that's going to be really, really cool. So, let's just go ahead and get right into it. All right. So, tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the importance of self-awareness, and we'll dive very deep into that. All right. After that, we are going to go even deeper into capacity for change and growth. Okay. After we get into the capacity for change and growth, we'll talk about self-care, right? What does that mean? We're going to talk about letting go of unnecessary load. So just to kind of go back here. So tomorrow, which is Sunday, we'll talk about the importance of self-awareness. On Monday, we'll talk about the capacity for change and growth. On Tuesday, we'll talk about self-care, filling your vessel. On Wednesday, we're talking about letting go of unnecessary loads. We're also going to talk about being open to new experiences. On Thursday, we're going to talk about building connections with others. And Friday, we're going to talk about using our vessel for a purpose. On Saturday, we start a brand new master topic. And we're also going to cover on Friday the practical tips for personal growth as a vessel. And we will dive in later this week about reflection and call to actions and things like that for ourselves as vessels and what that means. So I think thinking about yourself as a vessel is a very powerful metaphor. All right. You might be asking me, hey, John, where did this come from? So this came from the Bible. And it comes very clear to us that God has plans for us. Just like the widows in the Bible, we may not always see how God is working, but trust that he is there and we are part of his divine plan, right? Faith in action, constant supply. Just as the oil did not run dry or the flour did not run out, he too is there in our lives all the time. We must approach God as empty vessels, needing his fullness, not about being full of our own abilities, but about being ready for him to fill us. Multiplying oil, engaging in acts of services, and taking that to help others, which can help us to multiply our own efforts. So there's a lot, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to cover this week. And I am just so blessed that I was able to get this insight because, a lot of times I pick up these great topics, right? And they're amazing. But I tell you, since I've been getting inspiration from the Bible, which has only been in the last few months, the shows have been even better because they're not here because of me. I'm here doing these shows because they're God's work. And he allows me to create this and send it out to you. And for that, I am eternally grateful. I remember reading something just yesterday and the day before. And it doesn't matter what age you are. But they mentioned something that a person was, I think it was 36 years old. And again, it doesn't matter how old you are. And that person died. And people younger than that died. And you might be older than that. But you're here because God wants you alive. Now, for those of you that are not religious, well, I apologize about that, but I am Roman Catholic. And I do kind of infuse some of that into the show because spirituality is a very big part of who we are in life. I think that's a very engaging thing. And when we can understand that our Creator is here for us, but we just have to learn how to communicate with him. I think that's really an important thing that a lot of people just don't They just don't get it. So I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that you have more power than you think. It's got to start with belief, just like my hat says, right? BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. So let me just review a little bit about what we're going to do. So we're going to explore the metaphor, okay, of understanding ourselves as a vessel. We're going to talk about specific examples to how and why we are vessels for each one of these areas. We already talked about the introduction to the concept of a vessel, that we are, and that we're not just one thing. We are dynamic. We are constantly changing. We've talked about self-awareness before, but we're going to talk about it on a different level, one we haven't done before. Capacity and change and growth, that's important too, but we're also going to give that a different life than we've ever done before. So a lot of times, I mention a topic like, well, John, we just talked about that last month. We talked about that 6 months ago. We talked about it last week. But you're going to notice that when we talk about it again, it's almost like a brand new topic. There's always something new. Well, John talked about that last week. Yeah, but there's something new that you don't realize that I'm bringing to the table now. Self-care. How do you fill that vessel? Just like I filled this vessel of hot chocolate. I was very careful not to burn myself. I carefully, shook the Swiss Miss packet down. I ripped it open, and then I went and basically put that right into my cup, put that over to Instahot. I turned it on for a couple seconds so it just filled to the top, took a teaspoon, and just mixed that all out. So I think that's a pretty cool thing to understand, that filling our vessel takes care. We're going to talk about letting go of unnecessary loads. What does that mean? We'll get into that. Don't worry. We're going to bring something else to your table, which is being open to new experiences. So a lot of people tell me, John, it's got to be one way. We're going to talk to you about why, when you're open, more things can flow into your life. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about building connections with others and using our vessel for a purpose. And our purpose should be something that's for the greater good of all concerned, right? We're going to talk about personal growth. We're going to talk about reflection in related to a CTA, a call to action. And when we think about all these things, we're going to learn more about how this elevates our life, how this empowers leaders, how these can all be stories in our own life. You see, when we get passionate about something and we feel it with our whole core of our body and every muscle and cell, it's like we can't stop going in that direction. This is why whenever you get going, it's hard to stop because you're so motivated. And then when you got to do it again, it's like, it's like hard getting the engine going, right? But once you got the engine going, it's like you can't stop. It's like you want to keep going. So I hope you really enjoy this week. And again, this topic came to me because I was basically in church, and I said, God, give me a topic, give me something in the Bible. And when I was there, to be honest with you, it didn't hit me to how and why I was going to start sharing this with you. Last week, we talked about intercessions, and you thought they were just prayers, but they're a lot more than just prayers. That's just one part of them. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always such a privilege, a pleasure, and honor to be with you guys every single day or evening, whether I'm here live with you, whether it's short-form content, long-form content, whether it's static posts, it doesn't matter. Visit BelieveMeAchieve.com and start changing your life for the better. All right, everyone, I will catch you guys tomorrow for episode 2. In the meantime, have yourself a great night and start appreciating yourself as the beautiful vessel that God created you to be.